Do you have a report for us tonight? Mr.
I most certainly do, Mr. Mayor. We'll keep it short and just cover a few things. As you all know, we completed our first ever pothole blitz, filling 187 potholes. So kudos to our public works staff for working really hard on that, in addition to all of the reactive service requests that we do every day. Our paving for FY21 using FY21 dollars is now complete. So we've gone through that schedule, so we're working to adjust or adapt what we're targeting for paving using FY22 dollars based on some recent Department of Justice information that we received as it relates to ADA ramps and upgrading those compliances when you're paving. Also, DEQ has accepted our inflow and infiltration plan that we provided them, that the city and Thompson and Litton prepared. So they provided formal notice that they accepted that today, so that is some good news. So now we have a plan to work off of that they've approved. Tomorrow will be the bid opening for the supplemental environmental project, which is the dry run stream restoration. We are hopeful that we will get some very good cost-effective bids. We probably had about 13 contracting companies that came to the required pre-bid meeting. Route 220 safety assessment is actually underway. We're really looking at the consideration of needed improvements. We're working on that with VDOT and AECOM. Hopefully I'll have a meeting with VDOT next week to discuss. Initially we were looking at a small segment of 220, but working with the chief and then AECOM, we expanded it to cover all of 220 within the city. So we're looking forward to having a discussion with VDOT to really try to look at what are some high impact improvements that we can make given the uptick in things there. In case you haven't noticed, we have a new website. It's live, so I encourage you all to check it out on your phones, your tablets, or your computers. It is a responsive website design, so it'll look the same everywhere. It has a nice sleek feel. And I will say major kudos to Mr. Smalls for making that happen. It's been a year-long project, but we're excited for it. So please check out our new website. So we'll all need to get new photos. We need a new group photo. It needs to be updated. We don't have a group photo with Councilman Carson included. I guess we can always Photoshop. And another bit of exciting news, C-Click Fix, which will be our online citizen request system, will be launching this weekend. We are slating it to launch Saturday. So starting Saturday, you can go online using mobile app or your computer, just as we'll have a website to enter your service request based on categories and get a tracking number. And we will do that internally based on the request types if they're in the system. And when someone calls in, to give them a tracking number. So it'll be nice to validate where things go in the process and when something was initially reported. We are rolling it out with a small batch of requests focusing on planning and development services and public works to start with, and we hope to expand it, but we wanted to get that ball rolling. And as far as economic development, just got word late last week from VEDP, Virginia Economic Development Partnership, that we are receiving a $50,000 grant for a Phase 2 environmental study at Railover River, and that will actually help build upon its initial brownfields work to help get that site re-tiered, which helps with economic competitiveness when we're submitting site listings. The property owners are on board, and the Phase 2 will cover everything from soil to water samplings and all of that. The city will be serving as the fiscal agent on that. Apparently, some attorney at the state decided that it had to be a political subdivision, not a non-political subdivision. So instead of the EDC being the fiscal agent, the city will, but Draper Aiden will handle all of the reporting and all of that stuff as usual. So I will need to ask you all to add that to the agenda for next week. And if you're okay with that. There's an IDA meeting slated for June 24th, and that'll be focused on industrial site development, and hopefully we'll have some additional financing information for you all very soon prior to that, because we will need it. And then final closing is any day now for Project Sparkle. We're working with Mr. Lockerbie and Mr. Collins, Mike Collins, on the actual final closing documents. And our work continues with head down on our Main Street revitalization. We have discussed having a second community public meeting to look at the draft plan and actually holding that outside on Main Street to really have an interactive walking kind of what do you see, want, and need in this plan type discussion. And last but not least, the American Rescue Plan. I will say that I share your frustration. The only firm numbers that we have truly received at this point are the federal dollars, which are at 1.6 million right now. Those documents that get returned back to the U.S. Secretary of Treasury Department, I signed those Friday. They were sent to me. I electronically signed them, and it takes about 4 days for that to process. We have received some preliminary guidance from Virginia Municipal League, but there's not been any firm numbers released from the state. So right now there's 1.6 million for sure. There is potential for there to be up to 5 million, but again, there's nothing set in stone, nothing concrete to then start programming projects around and beyond the 1.6. So beyond that, any questions?
Bill, ma'am.